I'm going to tell you something, brothers. In order to get to where you're trying to get to, man, you are going to have to get rid of the vices. And when I say get to where you're trying to get to, I'm not even talking about goals and success and money. And I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about that level of fulfillment that everybody is trying to get to. In order for you to get there, brothers, you're going to have to get rid of your vices. And I know a lot of us are saying, no, bro, I can keep the kill, I can keep the bottle, I can keep the plethora of women. But I'm telling you, man, if you're trying to see source energy face to face, so to speak, if you're trying to go to the deeper levels, I'm saying you're trying to leave the realm of common men. If you're trying to leave that area, brother, you got to get rid of the vices. There's no way around it. Because all you're doing, I got to give me some water. All you're doing, man, all you're doing when you have these vices, you're either coping or you're running. I'm going to say that again, man. When you deal with these vices, you're either coping or you're running. And what I mean is, a lot of you brothers are still stuck at the pasture. Like we talk about taking this journey, we talk about going toward this state of enlightenment and toward this state of awakening. A lot of men are still stuck at the pasture. For y'all that read A Singular Truth, shameless plug. A lot of y'all are still stuck at the pasture. And what I mean by that is, for y'all that haven't read it, like once a man understands that, hey, you know what, there's more to life. There's more to my way of thinking. There's more to my way of being. Let me take this journey that's been calling me. Let me find my enlightenment. I'm going to see source face to face. And as soon as you go into that, take that journey, as soon as you cross that first threshold that separates you from common men, I said a man comes to a gate. He comes to a gate, man, that's filled, that's a large pasture, right? In a nutshell, this pasture represents going into that dark spot, going into that deep space, going into that trauma, going into that self-reflection. And I'm telling you this, man, I know now that a lot of men go to that pasture and don't like what they see there. So they're either running out of there and they're going to their vices because they got to find that fulfillment somewhere. Because the ultimate fulfillment is on the other side. We all know that. Ultimate fulfillment is that full knowledge of self. And if a man can't go through that pasture, he has to get that fulfillment through something else. Right? So either a man is running or he's coping from what he saw down there. Because the first thing you'll see when you go down there, man, and this is the hard part, like it's easy for men to go towards enlightenment and try to find spirituality and find purpose and all this stuff. But brother, when you go through that pasture, you have to first look at yourself. You got to look at you, look at all your flaws, and I'm telling you, a lot of men get down there and they don't like what they see. And they say, well, if fulfillment is on the other side of this, brother, I'm going yonder ways. I'll just get my fulfillment at the strip club. I'll just get my fulfillment at the end of the blunt. That's really all he's doing. I'll just get my fulfillment by trying to get 1 million likes on social media. Women, everybody's just looking for that fulfillment, or either they're coping. Either you're saying, you know what, man, I went down there, bro. I went through that pasture soul, and man, I remember what daddy did to me. I remember what mom and uncle and them did to me. I remember what my teachers told me. I remember how my ex-girlfriend treated me. So instead of dealing with it and going toward my enlightenment, I'll find that fulfillment you're talking about, soul, in something else. I'll find it in something else. You have to understand, man, that's really, at the end of the day, brothers, at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to get to, fulfillment. Fulfillment. And I'm telling you, man, once you taste that real fulfillment, once you find that true knowledge of self, once you can see source energy for what it really is, but it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back on the other side of that pasture and entertain those things for fulfillment. Because I'm gonna tell you this, man, and I'm not sitting there saying that, oh, I'm fully arrived, but life is a journey. But I'm telling you this, man, the more I get a taste of that, I'm gonna tell you this, man, I'm always high. I'm always drunk. I'm always satisfied when I'm swimming in that energy, bro. When I'm swimming, and even when I try to entertain something, of common man ways, instantly I felt it. I was like, bro, this, like, why would I take something to bring me out of that? Why would I take something to bring me out of that fulfillment? So I'm just saying, man, you got to stop running. You have to identify that thing. And I say this, man. I've always said, a man, the way a man does one thing is the way a man does everything. And that's true. So when I'm talking about, a man having to get rid of his vices, but I start identifying my vices. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, hell, overeating is a vice. If a man isn't taking care of his body and he's eating too much sugar, he's eating too much fried food, he's doing all this stuff, that's a vice. That's a coping mechanism for something inside of him that he doesn't want to face. Guilty. And once I looked at it in the mirror, man, and see that ugly side of myself, once you see the ugly side of yourself, whatever it is that has you running back toward the women, the bottle, the needle, the blunts, once you observe it, man, and own it, brother, you can get past that pasture, bro. You can get past it, and you can taste that true fulfillment. But I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna tell you this, brothers. You have to stop running, or you have to stop using vices to cope with something on the inside that you really don't want to face. And the thing is, once you go down there, once you take a step, once you take a peek over that gate and you see it, and it sees you, it's on you then. So you can run back to the land of the common if you want to. Those issues are going to call your name, man. So when you sitting there in the middle of the day and you in that cubicle, or you driving down the road and you hear that beast in that field call your name, hey, remember what mom and daddy did back in the days? First thing you got to do is get on Instagram and say, you know what? Let me act like I don't hear it. Let me get off work and stop by the bar and drink me a few bottles of yak. Let me stop by the strip club. Let me get the DMing and texting all these women just so I don't have to hear my inner voice calling my name. We're running, man. We're running. When I'm sitting here in silence and I say, oh man, well let me run down to the chicken house and give me some fried chicken. Let me do something. Let me use something to cope with what I'm hearing. And I'm telling you, man, you got to face it head on, bro. You got to face it head on, man. I know I've spent some time in that dark spot, which I love that dark spot because I love finding out about myself. And man, over the last few days, few weeks, but I'm understanding my weaknesses. That's all what it's about, man. A man having the courage, a man having the balls to look his weaknesses in the eye and face them. And I said, if a man does everything the way he does one thing, or vice versa, I said, there's an area in my life where I'm weak, which is if I'm not as strong in my health as I am in my reading and meditation. I said, brother, then I'm leaving money on the table. I'm leaving meat on the bone in all areas. Because if I'm slacking in one area, that means I'm slacking in all areas. Yeah, I might be winning over here, but that means I'm really leaving meat on the bone over there if I see a weakness over here. So, man, all I'm saying is go in that dark spot, bro. Go in those corners of your mind. Go inside that sanctum sanctorum, brother. And even though it's hard, brother, go in there and clean that thing out. Go in there and deal with what you're dealing with, man. Go in there and deal with that thing that has you scared. That thing that has you scared to move forward, that thing that has you scared to think different, that trauma that has you still in victim mode, go in there and deal with it, bro. Go in there and deal with it, because you got to understand, every single time you go to that Rolodex of all these women, every single time you go through that fifth of Henny, every single time you go through that bag of fire to roll up. But you have to understand, every single time you're doing it, brother, you're simply just coping, man.